Hello, this will be linear equations in one variable, and we'll be doing harder examples. So this is SAT math practice exam. So yeah, let's start with question one. So it looks like we have a system of equation ax minus 2y equals 3, 4x minus 5y equals 6. In the given system equation, a is a constant. A is a constant. If the system has no solution, what is the value of A? So what they're saying is here you have two linear lines, right? They will never intersect. They have no solution. So what does it really mean when they say no solution? So when two linear lines have no solution, it just means they are parallel. So this is like, pretend this is line one, and then this is line two. They are parallel. They will never intersect. They will never have a solution. So how do we know if two lines are parallel? It has to do with their slope. We know that their slope must be the same. So M1 must equal to M2. But do we know the slope of one line? Not yet, but we can find out the slope. So if we look at the second equation right here, let's find the slope. We can't find the slope. This is in standard form. We can't find the slope using standard form. So we got to put it in slope in y equals mx plus b form, right? So you got to get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract 4x. So I get negative 5y equals to negative 4x plus 6. And then I'm going to solve for y by dividing both sides by negative 5, and negative 5. So you get y equals negative 4x divided by negative 5 is negative positive 4/5 x. And then plus 6/5. I don't really care about it, but because that's not related to my slope. So my slope, we'll call this m1, must equal to 4/5. Okay, so what that means is our M2 should also be 4/5. So let's do the same process for this one. Let's get y by itself and figure out what would be our A value. So we have, let me put it here. We have AX minus 2y equals 3. Let's get y by itself. So I'm going to subtract AX. This is going to give you negative 2y. And I'm going to put the negative AX first, plus 3. And then I'm going to solve for y by dividing both sides by negative 2, negative 2, negative 2. So y equals negative 8, negative ax over negative 2 is positive ax over 2. And then this is negative 3 halves, right? Okay, so my slope so I get if my slope is a over 2, right? It's always the number in front of the x. So we don't know what A is, but we can find it. So A over 2 should equal to the slope of M1, which is 4/5. There we go. That's much easier. Now we can figure out what A is by cross multiplying. So what's 5 times A? 5A. What is 2 times 4? 8. Continue solving for A by dividing both sides by 5. So A equals to 8/5. So it's C. Okay, so that's how you solve this one. Let's move on to question two. Okay, question two says, in the given system equation, P and Q are constants. Okay, if the system has infinitely many solution, what is the value of P over Q? So we got to figure out P and Q, and we got to figure out what does it mean when two linear lines are infinitely many. So what does it really, yeah, what does it really mean when two linear lines are infinitely many solution? So we'll call this line one. And then to have an infinitely many solution, they must be exactly the same equation because they overlap. So this is line two, the red one, which literally overlaps the blue one. And so you can see you have a solution here, solution there, solution here and there, infinitely many. So they got to be the same exact same equation, right? So how would we do this problem? Um, maybe if we look at the second equation, 2x plus 4y equals 30, maybe I would try to get y by itself because it's not in y form. So I'm going to get y by itself by subtracting 2x. So you get 4y equals negative 2x plus 30. Solve for y, so you're going to divide both sides by 4. Negative 2x over 4 could be reduced by 2. So that's negative 1 half x. And then 30 divided by 4 is, I guess you can say 7.5, right? 30 divided by 4 is 5, 6, 6 times 4. Yeah, 7 times 4 is 28. 30 minus 28 is 2. Bring down the 0, so that would be 7.5. Okay. Now, how will we do this one? Wait, so if you look at this, what is my slope? My slope is negative 1 half, and my b is 7.5. So what we're going to do is do the same thing here. We're going to get y by itself, and let's see what happens. So if I want to get y by itself, I'm going to have to subtract px from both sides. So you get qy equals to negative px plus 15. And then you're going to solve for y by dividing this. This is not a 9, this is a q. Divide both sides by q, q, and q. So I get y equals to uh, negative px over q plus 15q. Okay, so that means, let's see, we're almost there. They want to know what the value p over q is. So we have this right here. We have negative p over q is equal to negative 1 half. Now, if I get rid of this minus by dividing both sides by negative 1, you get p over q is equal to positive 1 half. So it's going to be C. So P over Q is going to be positive 1 half. Okay. Okay, let's move on to question 3. So question 3 says 4x minus 5a equals to 8x minus 20. In the given equation, a is a constant. The equation has infinitely many solutions. What is the value of a? Okay. So look at this question. We have 4x minus 5a equals to 8x minus 20. They're saying that the equation has infinitely many. So what that means is the equation must be the same. So yeah, infinitely many is when slope and y-intercept is the same. Okay. This is a way, it's not, what I would do is, what would I do? There's A's here and an A there. Why don't I just get it all on one side? Yeah, let's get all the A's on one side. So maybe I will move this negative 5a to the right by adding 5a. And then maybe I will get this negative 20 to the left by adding 20. Okay. So now we have 4x plus 20 equals to mm, ax plus 5a. Okay. Then what I could do is on this left side, 4x plus 20, it looks like if I could factor out a 4, so this would be 4 parentheses x plus 5. And then over here, it looks like I could take out, I could factor out 1a, so this would be x plus 5. Hello. See how the x plus 5 are the same? So you can ignore it. So that means our a value must equal to 4. Okay. So yeah, in infinitely many is when the slope and the y-intercepts are the same. So what I did was I got all the a's on one side and then I factor out this 4. And as you can see, I have an x plus 5 at the same time, so you could ignore that and then just bring down 4 equals a. Number of question 4 says, uh, if 4 parentheses 9 half x plus 7 equals 64, what is the value of 9x plus 28? So the first thing I would do is maybe get rid of this 4 by dividing both sides by 4, right? So when I do that, I get 9 half x plus 7 equals to 64 divided by 4, which is 16. And then what I would do is get rid of the fraction by multiplying all sides by the LCD. So go ahead and multiply everything by 2. So what's 2 times 9 half x? That's 9x. What's 2 times 7? 14. What's 2 times 16? 32. And then go ahead and solve for x. So next I would subtract 14. I get 9x equals to 32 minus 14, which is 18. Divide this by 9. I get x divided by 9 is 2. Oh, okay. Wait, actually, they are asking you what is 9x plus 28. So I couldn't make it, in the other problems I tried to make, I could have manipulated to make it look like 9x plus 28. There's no way, like right here, there's no way I can manipulate it to make it look like that. So you're just gonna have to solve for x, which we did. Plug it back here, and you got your answer. So the last step is we're plugging x for 2. So 9 times 2 plus 28. 9 times 2 is 18 plus 28. And then what's 18 plus 28? 46. So your answer is B, 46. Okay, next question. Question 5 says, what is the value of x that makes the given equation true? So basically, they want you to solve for x, right? So what I would do is, yeah, they want you to solve for x. So first step is I'm going to find the LCD, lowest common denominator, because I want to get rid of this fraction. So LCD. So let's look at their bottom. Um, we have a 4, we have an 8, we have a 12, and a 2. So let's bring that down. We have a 4, an 8, a 12, and a 2. And what we got to do is put it in the most primest form. So we're kind of making a factor tree. So 4 square is the same thing as 2 times 2 or 2 square. 8 could be broken, it's not prime, it could be broken down as 2 times 4. 2 is prime, 4 is not. It could be broken down as 2 and 2. So that's 2 to the third. 12 is not prime. It could be broken down as 6 times 2. 2 is prime. 6 is broken down as 3 and 2. So that's like saying, so as you can see, only care about the prime numbers. So our prime numbers are 2, 2, and 3. So that's 2 squared times 3. And then 2 is the same thing as just 2, 2 to the 1. So what you do is look at the base. We have a base of 2 here, a base of 2 there, a base of 2, a base of 2. If you have a repeating base, pick the one with the highest power. So I'm going to use 2 to the third, right? Of all the bases of 2, I'm going to pick the one with the highest power, and I'm going to use 2 to the third. So that's 2 to the third. And then I also have a base of 3 here, and I don't see it anywhere else. So bring it down. So when you put it all together, 2 to the third times 3, 2 to the third is 2, 4, 8. 8 times 3 is 24. So that is how I found my LCD. So if you need a refresher how to find the LCD, just go down to the course and you'll see about a section of finding LCD. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is you see this 1/4 x. If it makes it easier, some people feels like it's easier if to put the you can put that x in front on top. So you could say x over 4 plus 3 over 8 equals this x is in the center, so you could put that on the top. So that's negative 5x over 12 plus 1/2. So I'm going to multiply everything by 24. So what's 24 times x over 4? 24 divided by 4 is 6. And then you have the x, so that's 6x plus what's 24 times 3/8? Well, 24 divided by 8 is 3. And then you have this 3, so that's 9 equals. What is 24 times negative 5x over 12? Well, I know that 24 divided by 12 is 2, and then times it by negative 5x, which is negative 10x. And then what is 24 times 1/2? Well, 24 divided by 2 is 12. Okay, so we found the LCD so we can get rid of the fraction. Now let's continue solving for x. So what I would do next is get all my x's on one side because there's no way you can combine like terms on both sides. You might as well get all the x's on one side. So I'm going to add 10x, add 10x. So what's 6x plus 10x? 16x plus 9 equals to 12. Solve for x, so you're going to subtract 9. You get 16x equals to 12 minus 9 is 10, 11, 12. 3. And then solve for x, so you're going to divide this by 16. So you get x equals 3 over 16. So that is my answer, 3 over 16. I know it's a lot of step for a limited amount of time. Okay, so there's another part of this. There are more. Yeah, let's do that. Many parts to it. Yeah, there's one more part for the linear equation variable, the hard section. So let me just go ahead and find it. Okay. this one. Okay, so this is the last part of this section. Okay, let's start with question one. So question one says, a city has a total of 40 soccer fields. On a certain day, only a quarter is the same thing as 1/4. A quarter of the soccer fields were occupied. There were two teams playing on each field, and each team had X number of players. Which of the following equation represents the total number of players on the field that given day? So we need an equation that represents the total number of players on the field that given day. Okay, so it's going to be 40 times only a quarter of the soccer field, so that's the same thing as 1/4. And then there was two teams playing on each field, and each team had X number, so that would be X. So when you put this all together, this is a fraction 1/4. What's 40 times 1 times 2 times X? That is, you could just say 40 times 2 times X, and then it's all over 4. So that's D. Okay, that's D. Let's move on to question two. Question two, this one's really strange. The front row in a theater, the front row in a theater has 12 seats, and the theater has a total of 40 rows of each, 40 rows of each seats. Each row has n more seats than the row before it. Which expression gives the total number of seats in the 30th row? So this is a linear equation, and when we're dealing with linear equation, we usually put it in the form of y equals mx plus b, right? And yeah, so what would be our b, what would be our m, and what would be our y? Or actually, we don't need the y. But what would be our b? Our b is our given value. What is our given value? It has, they're saying that the front row theater has exactly 12 seats, so our b is going to be 12. What would be our m? That's the tricky one. Since there are 12 seats to start, and then there are n seats for every row. So, okay. So what does that mean? So our equation is going to be 12, and then our slope is going to be, I mean, my m is going to be n times the seat row number minus 1. So that's going to be 12 plus n, and then my seat row, we were started with, they want to know the total number of seats in the 30th row, so it's 30 minus 1, and that would be our answer. So I think it's going to be letter A. Question three. If 3 parentheses x minus 4 over 4 equals to 2x minus 8 over 6, what is the value of x minus 4 is between which of the following pairs of values? So what we got to do is solve for x, and then we're going to plug it back to this equation. So how do we do this? We have 3 parentheses x minus 4 over 4 equals to 2x minus 8 over 6. So what I would do is, yeah, I could just get rid of the fraction. That's what I would do. I think it would be easier. I wouldn't, even though there's only two sides, I wouldn't cross multiply. So what would be my LCD? So my LCD, it would be 4 and 6. And then 4 could be broken down as 2 times 2 or 2 square. And then 6 could be broken down as 3 and 2. So what would be my LCD? So look at our bases. We have a base of 2 and a base of 2. If you have a repeating base, pick the one with the highest power, so it's going to be 2 square. And then you have a base of 3 that's not repeating in anywhere, so bring that down. So when you put it all together, 2 square 10, 2 squares 4 times 3 is 12. So you're going to multiply both sides by 12. And then, yeah, what's 12 times? Well, I know that 12 divided by 4 is 3. Then you still have this x of 3, so that's 9 times x minus 4. So I got to do this in my head because I got to do it quick. Over here, I know that 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then, yeah, 12 divided by 6 is 2. And then you're still left with a 2x minus 8. Okay, clean this up. 2 times 2x is 4x. 2 times negative 8 is negative 16. And then FOIL out this 9, so that's 9x minus 36. And then go ahead and solve for x. So you're going to subtract 4x, subtract 4x, and equals negative 16. 9x minus 4x is 5x. And then add 36 to both sides. And you get 5x equals to 36 minus 16. What's 36 minus 16? That is 20. Divide this by 5, divide this by 5. X equals 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, then we got to plug it back into this. So what's at 4 minus 4, which is 0? So they're asking you, what is this value between? Is it negative 3, negative 1? I don't think so. Is it negative 1 and 1? If you're not sure, just put it in. So 0, here's negative 1, here's positive 1. Is 0 between those two numbers? Yes, 0 is between negative 1 and positive 1, so yes, that is the answer. That is B. Okay, let's move on to question 4. Question 4 says, John drives 11 hours a week. The gas tank of his car holds 15 gallons, which lasts 10 hours. Which expression can John use to determine H, the number of gallons he needs to use per week? So this is definitely a linear equation, and what do we know about linear equation? It is the form of y equals mx plus b. Okay, and we got to figure out what is our x and what is our y. Uh, we don't have a b because they don't give us a starting point. I don't think we have a b, so we don't have to worry about that. So yeah, what do you think our x is? So our x is going to be the amount of gas in gallons, and I think the y is going to be the time in hours. Okay? And we also know that slope is the same thing as change of y over change of x. So we just got to fill in our blanks. So John drives 11 hours a week. 11 hours, is that a y value or an x value? It's a time, so that means it is a y value. What would be my m? So m is the change of y over change of x. So that's going to be 11, and then change of y is, what is change of y? It is the gas tank of his car can hold 15 gallons, which lasts 10 hours. So it's 10 over 15 times h, right? My change of y is 10, right? Change of y is time in hours, so that's why I put 10 on the top. And change of x is on the bottom, which is 15. Okay, so that gives us this equation. So that would be letter A. Okay, next one. Let's move on to question 5. Question 5 says, if the given equation is true, what is the value of x minus 3? So you got to solve for x, right? And yeah, because you only have two sides, you can cross multiply if you want. So let's do that. Let's cross multiply. Or you can get rid of the fraction by multiplying by LCD. I don't want to do that because I don't want to find the LCD right now. So I'm going to cross multiply. So it's going to be 14 times x plus 2 equals to 10 times x minus 5. Okay, go ahead and FOIL this out. So 14 times x is 14x, plus 14 times 2 is 28. And then on the right, 10 times x is 10x. 10 times negative 5 is negative 50. Okay, go ahead and solve for x. So let's see, I guess subtract 10x. Subtract 10x. So 14x minus 10x is 4x. It's 28 equals negative 50. Okay, subtract 28. Subtract 28. You get 4x equals to negative 50 minus 28 is uh, negative 78. Divide this by 4. You get negative 78 over 4 is negative 19.5, right? Right, if you do the long ways, negative 78 over 4. 4 times 2 is 1. 7 minus 4 is 5, 6, 7. That's 3. Bring down the 8. 8 times 4. 9 times 4 is 36. Carry the 1. Uh, 38 minus 36 is 2. Bring down the 0. That's how you get negative 19.5. But that's not our answer. They're saying what is the value of x minus 3? So my x is negative 19.5 minus 3, which is really, it's the same thing as negative 19.5 plus negative 3. So that's 5, 10, 12, negative 22.5. Okay, let's do the last one. Okay, the last one, no, let me scroll up. So the last one is here we have a table. Uh the number of shirts on the that column and then the final cost of dollars. So maybe this could be your X and then this could be your Y value. Now, yeah, so a company sells sweatshirts. A company sells sweatshirts. Any order of 10 or more shirts comes with a discount off the total price. If D%, if D% represents the discount applied to the total cost of the order and the original price of a single sweatshirt is in S dollars, which of the following equation is equal to D? So we kind of have to come up with equation. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. My equation is going to be discounted per cost equals original cost times 1 minus D over 100. Okay, so that is my equation. And I'm going to pick a random point. So I'm going to choose this point. You can use any point you like, but I don't know. I want to use that one. So we said that the number of shirts can be your X, the final cost is your Y, right? So it's going to be, write it. It's going to be 352 equals to 11. Sweatshirt is the same thing as X, so it's going to be 11S times 1 minus D over 100. Okay. So then I'm going to do is FOIL out this 11. So it's going to be 11S minus 11S times negative D over 100 is negative 11S D over 100. This is going to equal to 352. And then I'm going to solve for D, right? Because they want, what is the following equation equal to D? So I'm going to solve for D. So what I could do is, what could I do? I could get rid of the fraction. That's what I should do by multiplying everything by 100. So 100 times 352 is 352, 100 equals 100 times 11 is 1100s minus 100 times negative 11SD over 100. That is negative 11SD. And then I want to solve for D. So what would I do next? I'm going to move this 1100s to the left by subtracting 1100s. So that's 35200 minus 1100s equals to negative 11SD. And then to solve for Then maybe I would get rid of the negative 11 by dividing everything by negative 11. So I get SD. So 35, 200 divided by negative 11 is negative 3,200. Negative 1100 divided by negative 11 is 100. S. And then last step is get rid of this S by dividing everything by S. So my D is going to be negative 3,200 S plus 100. That is letter C. Letter C. Okay. Okay, so we're going to stop here. And yeah, that's it.